So I would like to thank APSI for having me here today, and thank you, Becca, for inviting me. Sorry, I'm talking a little bit too loud. So I'm Jake Johnson, and I'm going to take some of the ideas that we were asked to discuss a little bit out of order. I'm going to talk a little bit about where I started out, where I came from, and then I'm going to talk about sort of some strategies and approaches that I found to be valuable over the course of my life and career, and talk a little bit about what it means to me to be a professional, and then I have some kind of summarizing thoughts towards the end. I am going to, if it kills me, I'm going to stay on my time schedule. So I grew up in Northern California. I've been legally blind since birth, and I actually was going to try not to even mention that. Most of you know, some of you anyway, folks that I work with and know professionally. And I really don't think it's, I don't think it's important, the fact that I have a visual, if I can characterize it as an impairment. We all have challenges in life, and it's true that we can use the word disability, and many who have a condition like mine consider themselves to have a disability, to be disabled. I think it's really valuable and important to remember that disability is kind of just a label that we apply to people, to ourselves, to others, and it's just that. I mean, you can't catch a bad case of disability. You're not going to find a doctor anywhere that's going to make a prognosis of, come in, can you imagine that they come in and they say, oh, I'm really sorry, sir. Mr. Johnson, you have disability. I know it's a terrible, terrible diagnosis, and so we're really sorry. It just doesn't happen. We give ourselves that. We put that label on ourselves, and it's a way that we often, or at least I have felt that whenever I think of myself as being disabled, as having a disability, as the current sort of nomenclature du jour is a person with a disability, so then we sort of say, well, you're a person first, so that's at least kind of good. But so it is good, but it's whenever I think of myself that way, I have to say, are you doing that because you want to limit yourself? Are you just sort of making an excuse? So growing up in Northern California, I didn't think of myself as having a disability. In fact, when I was in high school, they make everybody take driver's ed. Whether you're going to drive or not, you have to take driver's ed because it's part of a whole curriculum that covers a bunch of other stuff that you're supposed to, like health and, I don't know, sex ed and whatever. So I had to take driver's ed, and I thought, oh, they're not going to put me in driver's ed if I'm not going to get to drive, right? So I thought, I'm going to, they're going to give me these, and for those of you that remember the glass Coke bottles, right? I thought, I'm going to have this pair of glasses, it's going to be these Coke bottle glasses, and I'm going to be able to drive. They're going to let me out on the road. I'm going to have maybe like a red Corvette, and it didn't work out, and I was angry. Oh my God, I was really angry about that. I never knew anybody who had a disability, or who was blind, or there would be occasions where, like the Lions Club or somebody would have some kind of function, and I would interact with other people who were blind or had some kind of physical disability, and it was weird to me. I thought, oh my gosh. And frankly, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. The people that I met growing up that were supposedly like me, they seemed helpless, and they seemed like they were not like me, because I had all my brothers, sister, the people who lived around us. My condition was not an issue. It was I just did everything everybody else did. And there were allowances made. I got like 5 strikes when I played baseball instead of 3. Of course, I lived rurally, okay, so we would shoot each other with BB guns. We would put all this padding on ourselves, we'd shoot each other with BB guns. Everybody else would have like an air rifle, those old air rifle BB guns at Daisies or whatever. So they would let me use the CO2, so I could just fire without having to, cock the gun and prepare it. So that was sort of my first brush with reasonable accommodations. Right? So yeah, it was great. I had a great childhood. It was wonderful. But I started working around the age of 14. Had my first regular job at age 16, worked in a pizza parlor. It was a Shakey's, for those who remember. Great pizza. I don't know what happened. I wish there were, there were more. There were a few locations around, but it's a great job. And they hired me through a program that would pay for part of my first several weeks of salary. And that was, it was a great experience. I'll talk about it just a little bit here because I think it's something that's lasted through my entire life. People will take you from where you are. If you come in and you seem like you can do it, then you can do it, as far as most people are concerned. I can't say that I've ever worked in an environment where I thought that I was being treated any differently because of my disability. So we'll talk a little bit about what I think has made me at least feel like I was living life the way I wanted to over the course of my life. So growing up, my family, we all cooked together a lot. Both my parents worked, so when we got home from school, there was a certain expectation that we would make some effort to help with dinner. And so in learning to do that, I wasn't off the hook because of any kind of my vision wasn't a factor. So my parents sort of would approach me by saying, well, gosh, what do you think you need to do? You see what the expectation is. They would go through it. Okay, we're going to make scrambled eggs, or we're going to cut up the ingredients for a salad. My parents didn't believe in appliances, so we used knives pretty much for everything. So yeah, at like 5, 6 years old, I'm cutting things up for salads, and they would say, what do you need to do? What do you think is good? Well, I can't really see the stove. I can't see the markings on the stove. Well, put your hand up here on the control. You can tell that if you point it this way, you feel a little pointed part goes this way. Okay, that's high. Then down is medium, and then on the other side is low. So you got your magnifying glass. You can read they write up these recipes for me to follow. So they would say, okay, first then I started making them for myself. Myself, I would make these recipes, and I would know that I would have to use a bit different approach than the people around me. My brothers and sister could see what they were doing in the kitchen, and sometimes I could because I have a little bit of vision, but a lot of times I couldn't, or I could, but the whole act of trying to see what I was doing actually would slow me down. Relying on touch was faster. So I really learned from those early experiences that, one, I had to know what I needed to do to get to the goal. Of course, you have to know what the goal looks like too. I mean, that's sort of one that we skip over a lot of the time, but you have to really be able to, this is characterized in a bunch of different ways I've heard, but really you have to know what success looks like. You have to know what is success, and then spending the effort to figure out how you need to get there. Another experience, my parents, our hobby as a family was snow skiing. So I learned to ski when I was about 6 years old, and my parents didn't want me going on the ski lift, and I don't know if they were worried about my safety because of my blindness, or they never talked about it really, other than to say that if you want to go on that ski lift, by God, you're going to learn to stop, you're going to learn to turn, you're going to do all that up front beforehand. I don't know, maybe they just didn't want to like waste the money on the lift ticket and then find out that I couldn't do it. But I really wanted it. My brother, who was older, could ski. He learned to ski pretty quickly, very athletic. And I wanted that too. I wanted to be able to, be a big boy, as it were. So that was important to me, and I did what it took. And I was able to demonstrate to my parents that I could execute all the good control around skiing, and so they had no choice. They said, well, we told him we'd buy that lift ticket for him if he could do it, so they did. Then, my first job, then another experience that was valuable. My first job, I sort of had the experience, kind of the first time in my life when somebody very clearly said to me, look, you have a severe limitation, and that makes us want you all the more because you seem like a really good, like you'll be a really hard worker. So we want you in this job. So that was the assistant manager. The manager was way more pragmatic. He was not a particularly nice individual. And his approach was, hey, this program for handicapped kids is paying for your wage for the first 6 weeks. I don't have to keep you after that. I'm going to get some free work out of you. He was fair, though. When I finished that trial period, he said, you're doing a really good job, but don't think I'm going to cut you any slack. You got the job, but you're going to have to do the work just like everybody else, and you are, just keep doing it. So I had sort of the experience of somebody saying, I don't care what your deal is, you come in here and perform, that's all I care about. And then I also had the experience of someone saying, hey, we respect what you're doing. And so I had that early on, and really, I remember better the manager's approach to me because it made me feel like, gosh, I'm getting what I want. I want to be treated like everyone else. I want to be a regular guy. And this is the way generally I think you can expect to be treated, and it was. It gave me a good approach. Those experiences gave me a really good approach for what I would need later, which was to really define success for myself with no help and understand what I needed to get there. And so through college, through grad school, I did that. I defined success for myself, whether it was just getting through the semester or it was where I wanted to be later on in life. And to be honest, I'm really in the habit of kind of loosely defining goals as they farther out. I can tell you what I want to do tomorrow, I can give you a whole list, but you ask me what I want to do 20 years from now, it's a lot more vague, but I have thought about it, and I think it's important to do that. As far as being a professional is concerned and sort of what I try to bring to the table as a professional, I'm not gonna say as a leader, because I feel like what you do, the strategies you use in life have to be simple, easy to do, easy to sort of keep in the forefront of your mind, because you can't have these elaborate strategies because life happens too fast. So as far as actually in the workplace, and really just in general as a person, I feel that it's really important to take pleasure in the small things. My wife will tell you that I will not eat a banana that is past the state of yellowness that I need it to be, and I won't eat it if it's too green. There's a window of about a day usually that I'll eat a banana, and so I'll eat like 3 or 4 of them in that one day. And it's really important. I gotta catch them at that. I'll throw them away if they're like, or she makes banana bread sometimes. But it's really important to celebrate those small things, and I'm happy about it. I'll be in a good, if I know I got bananas to eat that are the right way, it'll make me happy all day long. And I have thousands of things in life that do that. A great conversation with my wife, a perfect cup of coffee, something that if I turn something in on time, just any number of things. Have a great conversation with a mentor. There's just any number of great things to take pleasure in. So I like to do that. So finding something great in every effort that I take on, there's something good about every job, and if you're not finding it in your job, then you probably need to find something else to do, as far as I'm concerned. In my life, I tend to reflect a lot, and that's a big part of it. Just making sure that I'm always contributing value around me. And really, just talking about how others perceive me in the workplace, I think approaching work and life with enthusiasm, it's infectious to the people around me. I found it's infectious. That sometimes if you're having a good day, or even if you're not, but you're convinced that you can, and you really try to, the people around you will do that too. It's kind of miraculous. I worked in a place where actually having just the enthusiastic and giving people to work around. One of my colleagues, a project manager at Department of Finance, where I started my state career, he actually called us. Anybody ever watch the cartoon show Voltron? It's like about these robots, and there's a bunch of different ones, and they all combine together in this giant robot at the end of the show every time. Same ending every time. Beats the bad guy, right? And he said, we're like Voltron. We all contribute something that we're good at, and then we just form and together at the end and just solve the huge problem. And so that's, I try to remember that, and I try to recreate that same type of scenario in the teams that I'm on, because really being accountable for what you do, and being sort of taking your success or failure as something that is yours to own, I found that to be really valuable, because there are a lot of people around in life that will want to help. They want to see you be successful, but no one knows your goals and what you need to be successful better than you do, better than I do. I found in life that as long as I'm bringing it to the table, all the good that I have to offer and to bring with me, others will see that, and they'll, in most cases, try to pull together with me, and in those cases where they don't, it's on me. It's still my responsibility to be successful. So I endeavor to do that. Thank you very much.